It's the middle of the night. You are peacefully sleeping after a long day of working. Suddenly, a noise you have never heard before wakes you. Your eyes open. Before you is a room, barely illuminated by a streak of moonlight from the window. It's quiet now. The serene quiet sounds of the night get interrupted by an ear-piercing sound. The same one that woke you up. You listen to it intently. It's... Could it be a sound of someone's nails scratching? Suddenly, the note you read this morning flashes in your mind. Previous tenants' insane ramblings about never-ending scratching noise at night. You laughed it off with the safety of the sun shining at you. Now, in the cold night, those words chill you down to your core. The scratches again jolt your mind to the present. You stand up and listen. Where are they coming from? You stand up and listen again for the source. You take a step. Stop. Listen. And step again. You finally stop at your destination. A door. The scratching echoes behind it. A basement. You gently push the door. And that's the moment you realize how scary a point-and-click game can be. Hi, I'm Evening. Let me start off by saying, I don't like point-and-click games. Like, I truly believe I am just too stupid for them. I still have nightmares about a Pink Panther game that had like this puzzle with a mirror, and I remember it took me like over a week to beat it. And I did it with the help of my mom, so many bad memories with the genre. So, you should understand my reservations. Then, after looking for scariest horror game ever, I came upon a puzzle point-and-click game that looked like the cousin of Myst. Well, after reading the reviews that carried on saying, scariest game ever, never seen anything like it, I had to try it. And well, this truly is, in my opinion, one of the most terrifying games ever. So, to start off, you can't buy this game. Scratches stopped being available to buy for licensing reasons before it was cool. Looking at you, Spec Ops The Line. The studio behind it was Nucleosis, a developer based in Argentina, with an amazing soundtrack from an artist known as Seller of Rats. Scratches was Nucleosis' first project, and it was released in 2006. Scratches is actually the first commercially released adventure game ever developed in Argentina, but it didn't sell too well. Only 150k units were sold in a year. The studio since then has disbanded, but the main designer and programmer behind the project, Agustin Cordes, went on to fund a new studio called Sandscape. They have released a free-to-play Steam game you might have seen called Serena, and have been working on a new, big project, a spiritual successor to Scratches called Asylum, which is supposed to release in March of next year. So, what is Scratches? In this game, you play as Michael Arfate, a writer stuck in an unfamiliar writer's block. To cure himself and finally finish the ending of his second novel, he rents a Victorian-style manor as a way to escape his drab everyday life and live a little like the characters in his story. But soon after getting to the house, problems start. And not only that, he discovers a big mystery surrounding the last occupants of his humble abode. Okay, so I'm stopping right here for a second. I am now going to spoil the whole game, most of its puzzles and the twists in the story. If this seems interesting to you so far, even a little, go play it. It's not going to take you long. Depending on how good you are with puzzles, it will take you from 3 to 7 hours to beat. This game is such a unique experience. It has such a great and interesting story. So please try it. You're not going to regret it. Now, for those that decided to stay here and watch the rest of the video, let's begin Michael Arfate's nightmarish journey.
I arrived at Blackwood Manor one cold Saturday morning amidst a thick veil of fog. The weather didn't look good, and there was an unnatural calm surrounding the area, yet I soon became entangled with the place.
As we start the game, we stand before a giant manor. When you move your mouse 1 centimeter, suddenly, Michael does a 720 kickflip, and I start to think, he might be on crack. So, click settings, and try alternative controls and camera speed until you get something you like. Cause this is just an actual vomit simulator right now. So, to come back, before our immersion was broken, we see our home for the foreseeable future. In our estate, one can find a garage, a crypt, a greenhouse, and a chapel. That god-forsaken chapel. Anyway, Michael walks next to the manor, the door is locked, and we get introduced to the gameplay. Right-clicking opens your inventory. Here, a journal where Michael writes down his thoughts can be found. A magnifying glass that gives little information on the inventory items. So, time to use the key and open the door. The phone rings.
Hello?
Michael, it's me.
Hey, Jerry. It's good to hear your voice.
Oh, look at that. It's Michael's friend, Jerry. After the call, Michael writes down some thoughts in his journal. This is something we'll be coming to every now and then. This also provides some hints. It was just something during my first playthrough I didn't realize. That might explain why it took me 7 hours. This house is amazing. Far beyond my wildest dreams. Jerry's efforts have truly exceeded my expectations. I'd better get acquainted right away. As we start moving, first we stumble upon the grandfather clock. This is a very important part of the game. This is like the progress bar. Every time a puzzle is solved, the clock moves. So it's a good way of knowing how much progress has been made. Now, time to explore the giant house. In the living room, we test the lights and notice that they don't work. Interesting. On a table, we find a diary. April 20th. During a fit of rage, I burnt my previous diary. Not that I regret it, as if my disjointed notes were worth anything. Their only purpose was to keep me sane. I feel that this is my escape route, my only means of finding some inner peace. Whenever I put my pen to this paper, I feel that I can reflect on my situation. I just wish I had made options, that's all. But I'm rambling. I must think clearly. Focus. May 12th. I've become an eternal guardian, stuck between few choices, none of which are good. Do I fulfill a promise and violate everything that I believe in, the very principles of my life, or am I condemned to spend the rest of my existence in this deemed state? A ghost with no other purpose than just being here, watching. I should have no escape. I can't find an appropriate solution to this problem, and I must pay the price. I am a shadow of a man I used to be. Only these notes remain my testament. In these moments of meditation, my sole companion. June 26. Today I spent the entire afternoon staring at the window. My mind a blank. Oddly enough, I really didn't care. It seems now as though it was something natural for me, a part of my personality, but I know the reason very well. I've lost my soul. I'm an empty shell, devoid of any feelings. I renounced them on that fateful day. And the worst thing is, I knew there were going to be consequences. No, that's not true. Consequences were far worse than I expected. How could I be so blind? January 21st. I often wonder what would have happened if we had simply reversed it all. What would happen if right now I come out and told the world what really happened? No, I ended up rotting in jail. Although, that might be a better destiny compared to this eternal suffering. November 17th. I can't say for sure when it began. I just heard them one morning, coming from next room. The whispers. Are they real? Have I been alone for too long? It won't stop. I can't stand it any longer. February 9th. Ever since I locked it away, that everything seems to have calmed down a bit. Perhaps James was right, after all. It's madness, I know, but at this point, I'd be inclined to believe anything. May. Over the years, I was convinced that everything James suffered was a misfortune, a whim of destiny. For the first time ever, I'm not so sure anymore. I never thought it could happen, but I believe I understand now. If this is so, then cursed be my soul. Poor James. If I had acted another way, then maybe things would have worked out differently. But it's too late now, and I have to suffer my Calvary. September 13th. The noises are back. Although this time they are different. Before I'd only hear them inside my head, as if someone or something was whispering and, how to put this, interrupting my thoughts. But now I can really feel them spreading around the house. What are they? September 14th. I realized the noises are coming from down there. I don't want to think about it anymore. They are unbearable. They get worse at night. Oh, how I wish it would stop. What is going on down there? I don't dare go near. I don't want to know. March, May. God, how many years have passed? I have lost all sense of time. I have to get out of this place. Let's explore more. So this is the layout of the manor. We got the entrance, living room, study, with a lot of text on African tribes. We'll get back to that a bit later. Dining room, kitchen, servants' quarters, a locked door to the basement, bathroom, main bedroom, with a weird-ass mirror that you have to remember. Don't forget it. Remember this mirror. It is very, very important. Guest bedroom and the unfinished third floor. After we are done with snooping around, time to go to the room that was prepared for us and put down all those suitcases Michael has been carrying around like a mule. Perfect. The room that Jerry ordered to be prepared for me has to be the best spot in the whole house, with a huge window overlooking the garden. The view is breathtaking and inspiring, and is bound to permit me to concentrate on my work. If you are a normal person now, you put luggage on the table and are done with it. Well, if you are me, the first time I played it, you struggle with it for 10 minutes straight. Oh my god, where the fuck does Joy put the fucking luggage? Okay, maybe up top. Where do human beings, help me? Where do humans put luggage in? In their rooms? Like, be here, right? Here's a smart place to put luggage now. The bed isn't a good place. I need to sleep there. So where the fuck? I did not have the best of starts with the game. If you want to see more stuff like this, check me out, me live at twitch.com/EveningMan. I'm live quite often. The writer Michael here decides he can't write now. He's itching to continue to explore. So let's indulge him. And there is one room, actually, that I chose not to mention. The gallery. For a simple reason, really. I want to let the game speak for itself. You can see it's full of African culture objects. We find jewelry, vases, and masks. Well, one mask seems to be missing. Surely nothing important here. So, after we finish looking around, how about we call Jerry? Don't forget to call Jerry. Hey, are you feeling stuck? It seems like you can't solve a puzzle. You probably need to call Jerry for the 10th time today.
Hello?
Jerry, it's me. Everything seems to be fine, except the lights don't work.
Oh, you don't have to worry. I had an electrician, one that I trust, to meet you there this morning. You know how a lack of power can be a recurring issue in old places like that. He should be arriving soon.
That's good to know. I'll set up my stuff and let you know how everything does later.
After some small talk and explaining the electricity problem, Jerry promises us a visit from the electrician. Nice, problem solved. While we're on the phone, we should call home. Or as close as we can to home, which is our secretary, to see how things are going well.
Hello, R8 Productions.
R8 Productions? What in heaven's name was that?
Oh, hi, boss. I was just fooling around.
Well-
Don't worry. I'm studying tongues during my spare time. I love that so much.
That's great, but don't lower your guard. As soon as I publish my new book, that place is going to get riddled with phone calls and hundreds of fan mail.
That's the spirit, boss. I know your new book is going to be a huge success.
Of course it will. As soon as I find a proper ending. And stop calling me boss.
As you wish, boss. Oh, sorry.
Well, how about we get that basement door open, huh? Let's snoop around the servants' quarters. We can see that the maid was quite a photographer. Look at all these nice pictures. Specifically, look at this one. Interesting. In the drawer, we find a notebook with some etchings. Yeah, time to do that cool trick everybody did in elementary school, where you scribble on the paper to see what was written there before. Oh, it's Italian. Mamma mia! Wait a second. I know someone that speaks Italian.
Hello?
Hey, it's me, Bobby dear. I need to ask you a favor. I found a letter here, and I'm curious about it. It's in Italian. Do you think you could translate it for me?
Yes, of course I can. Just send me the letter and I'll put hands to work as soon as I have it here.
Excellent. I wonder if the postman will come by. I feel like I'm the last person alive on the whole planet here. Anyway, I'll go and try mailing that letter.
I'll be standing by for action.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Good luck.
Hopefully we'll get a reply in 2 to 4 business days. We got an interesting note from Michael about this whole letter sending. Barbara has kindly agreed to translate the letter for me. She's such a dear and smart. If only she were prettier. God, Michael, you can't be so shallow. I better go and mail her that letter. So far we can already kind of see that Michael isn't the nicest person around. And this note really does show a side of him we haven't seen before, and it doesn't paint that nice of a picture. Now that that's done, I wonder about that picture we saw. The key hanging over a pot? Interesting. Have we seen a pot like that somewhere? Oh right, it's here, under the stairs like Harry Potter. Once we open the curtain, of course, we can get the key out of the jar. Because that fucking makes sense. Now, let's check out the basement. There's a big furnace. Nice. Anyways, I wonder if the postman took our mail already. Mr. Arthite, Mr. Carter sent me here today to fix a power problem in your residence. I was told to meet you at the gate, but I've been waiting a few minutes and still haven't seen any signs of you. I will wait some more and then leave. Please contact Mr. Carter as soon as possible. Excuse me? Bloody hell, he did what? What a prick of an electrician. Time to be a snitch. Oh, Jerry!
Bloody hell. He was supposed to meet you at the gates early this morning. I thought he was just being late.
Damn, but I must have missed him for a few minutes. What the heck am I supposed to do now?
Go get some candles.
You're joking, right?
No, I'm not. I'm calling this guy right away, and I'm afraid he won't be able to stop by until tomorrow. He was already driving there today as a personal favor. Make sure you find some candles before it gets too dark.
Yes, candles. Bye.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Jerry, I'm freaking out. I couldn't find a single candle inside this place.
You're kidding me. I can't believe it. Did you look well?
Yes, every single room, drawer, box, cabinet, nothing. No candles.
All right, listen. The town isn't too far away. No more than 20 minutes drive. If you can't find some candles there, I'll eat my hat.
Well, that sounds easy. Let me just go and drive to... Oh, it's out of battery. Oh, Jerry!
My car is dead. I forgot the lights on and the car ran out of batteries. All because of that bloody fog. Jerry, you've got to help me. Get over here.
Michael, look at the time. I can't drive to Northumberland right now.
But Jerry, I can't spend the whole night without one single source of light. I barely know this place and I won't be able to find my way. Heck, I don't even know if it's rid of ghosts yet.
Are you a sleepwalker, Michael? You lie down on the bed, you sleep, you wake up, and you'll have tons of bright light then.
Do you know anything about the previous inhabitants of this house?
Not much, just there were some strange individuals. There's also the murder.
You're kidding me. A murder?
An old-fashioned murder. It seems the owner, James Blackwood, I think, went mad and killed his wife. I do remember the date, though. May 1963.
James Blackwood, according to the stuff I've been...
A murder in May 1963? Well, thanks, Jerry. Thanks for buying me a murder house and never telling me. Okay, so now, let me mention the coolest mechanic in this game, I think. Here is this big pile of newspapers in the attic, which is in the 3rd floor. Just searching it does nothing, because it's just a big pile of newspapers. But, if someone tells us a date, we can go and look for the papers from that date. It's so cool. I love this mechanic so much. Terrible news shocks the community of Roughbury. Mr. James Blackwood, distinguished resident of his town and a widely acknowledged construction engineer, was accused of murder yesterday by Miss Ava Mariani, maid of the Blackwood family. While the nature of the situation is of the most unusual, given that Mr. Blackwood is a highly respected gentleman, Miss Mariani, an Italian immigrant and aspiring photographer, affirms to having a photograph that supports these accusations. I knew no one would ever believe me, so I took a picture of him, she says. I was supposed to be in town during the afternoon, but I didn't have the need to. I didn't have any errands to do, so I was in my room and saw the shadow out of the garden. When I glanced through the window, I just couldn't believe my eyes. The lady. Oh, God. The sole thought of it sent shivers down my spine. The photograph in question is in possession of the authorities, and it has been revealed that it clearly shows Mr. Blackwood burying a shape in his garden. We can almost confirm that the shape is a body, says Police Chief William Bailey. But even if the image is not clear, this alone with Miss Mariani's statement is enough to open a serious case against Mr. Blackwood. Police officers are already heading to the Blackwood Manor as we speak. So, before we go to sleep, since there's nothing else we can do, let me mention that this game has a lot of long notes. So for everyone's sake, I won't be reading them all. I'll summarize the important ones, but there are some that need a full reading because of the writing. It's just, great. For example, in the trash, we find a crumpled up note. Why is it that I can't concentrate? Crumpling pages like this. I'm getting worse. The whisperings. They are killing me. They cannot be real. They cannot be real. Barred the doorway, I still can hear them in my dreams. How to get rid of it? If it was only that simple. But tearing it apart would force me to admit its otherworldly nature. No! It just can't be possible. I can't allow these thoughts to cross my mind. But I can really hear them. So clearly. Have I really lost it? It just can't be that I'm experiencing exactly what James did. It has to be influence. How else do you explain that every time I walk past the gallery, the whispers grow louder? They're luring me inside. It wants me closer. I can hear them again. Yes, the tortured souls of the fallen, now suffering for eternity. A chant. It's a room. I know for sure it's source now. I can't fool myself any longer. Are those drums? Oh, please, for Christ's sake, don't let it be drums. I have to document this. I have to keep going. Because if James was right, my God, have mercy on our souls. Well, that was weird. And it's time to sleep. You wake up, your head is spinning, and there's this never-ending knocking. It's coming from the gallery. Huh? The secret door is before you. As you pick the hammer, you get it open, you hear... You wake up in the middle of the night, for real now. A noise echoes through the house. The same one the note described. Michael writes, I was awakened in the middle of the night by some strange sounds, like an obsessive scratching, coming from somewhere deep in the house. We used the stethoscope we picked up from the doctor's bag and listened closely. It's coming from the fireplace. They are indeed coming from below the house. Perhaps the machinery? No, impossible. Not without power. Vermin? It just doesn't sound like it. You go down, trying to find the source of the noise. Your travels lead you to the kitchen, to the basement door. You open it, but it's too dark to see. It's better to pretend we didn't hear anything and go to sleep. And the first day. Before we jump into day 2, let's do some house cleaning. AKA that African plotline I mentioned that is kind of very, very important. I wanted to wait a bit to give the full story separately. So here we are. In South Africa, James Blackwood, after helping with the construction of a bridge, becomes attached to the vibe of South Africa. But soon, trouble starts. Some natives start causing trouble. They stand still between the trees and just stare, not moving like statues. Their stalking starts creeping everyone out. The silence that comes with their presence brings fear. After some snooping around that James did, he finds information about a tribe. The tribe, which was assumed to be extinct long ago, is known as Dalmar. The name comes from the screams that could be heard echoing late at night. While observing the tribe secretly once, James saw a very peculiar event. Natives were moving around the village slowly before suddenly starting to shake spasmodically and screaming like mad. Some dropped on their knees, some lifted their heads to the sky. Few of them brought in an odd-looking mask. It was unsettling. Its shape, color, and overall look was hypnotizing. The moment it was brought out, the whole tribe started moving in circles, fluttering and chanting in a way that looked like a war ritual. Then, one of the male villagers walked into the middle, next to the mask. Everyone became quiet. It seems nobody even breathed or blinked. Then suddenly, a couple natives separated from the circle and jumped the villager and started beating him. The crowd tore him apart. They grabbed his legs and twisted them in unimaginable ways. With fingernails and teeth, the face got disfigured. Soon, the villager turned into a red sack of bones. But during the whole process, no one snapped his neck. He felt it all. And to all the villagers, the task seemed as mundane as any daily chore. The most terrifying part was the silence. During the massacre, neither the victim nor the villagers made any sound. It was so quiet, you could hear the flesh ripping from the bone. You'd expect any living creature to scream while getting its guts ripped out, but not him. Dalmar is one of the most ancient tribes ever known to humanity. They date back to around 20,000 years ago. They lived all this time without expanding or hunting. They are a group made by inbreeding and cannibalism. They can barely be called humans. After doing more research into the tribe, James stumbled upon old obscure books mentioning wars between Dalmar and other tribes. Usually, tribes engage in war for territory or to defeat an enemy, but not Dalmar. They do it for pleasure and an extreme love for violence. Stories tell of them invading a village, slaughtering every inhabitant with no regard to their sex or age. They kill all without hesitation, and they do that all without any weapons. Their bare hands and teeth were the tools of destruction and death. After the slaughter, they would burn the village, every single building, with every single possession still inside them. The Dalmar have a very simple religion. The premise of it is to keep an evil entity at bay that has been stalking them since the beginning of time. This vengeful god would harass the Dalmar like they were its toys. But Dalmar managed to get rid themselves of this deity. With a long and grueling ritual, they managed to trap it inside a mask. And this black mask that represents evil, the one that was at the center of Dalmar, is something James Blackwood stole. On the second day, a fierce storm had assaulted the land. I could hear the trees creaking, or rather, moaning, to the lashing of the rain, and I quickly abandoned my hopes of having the power fixed. The rain is heavy, and I can hardly make out the garden. I don't recall ever seeing something like this. It looks like I'll be stranded inside the house for a whole day. Since we are stuck in the house only, day 2 is quite short. There's not that much to do really. First of all, let's see if that vision of ours was true. Is the gallery actually hiding anything? Oh yes, we got some wheels. Those wheels need some oil though. Okay. After some more digging around the house and lovely Jerry call time, we end up in one of the attic rooms and discover that there's another secret room. Good lord, this is becoming more and more like a Resident Evil house. In the same room, we get some oil, score, and also a rope. So firstly, with our trusty knife, we cut this ugly wallpaper to find a brick wall. Oh, bastards are hiding it well. Let's find another way to get in. But how? So, remember that I mentioned there's a whole unfinished third floor? Well, in this floor, there's also a big tower. With some simple remodeling, we make a perfect rope hole. Using the rope we stole a minute ago, we do our best Indiana Jones impression as we scale the building. We end up in a child's room. Oh, it becomes pretty clear why they would brick up a child's room. I guess that deep inside myself I knew the reason why, but I had to make sure. A Blackwood's son died a long time ago. which is probably the reason why the room was bricked up and left abandoned. The thing that's not clear is whether the child was born dead or died shortly after delivery. We find a birth certificate and also some cubes with letters. They will become very important later on. Like a lot of things I keep saying. Trust me. We can scale back up the house and use the oil we found on those rusty wheels. As clear as day we can see, the vision was true. There is a door here. But what could be behind it? What needed to be hidden? The door opens and darkness. The black mass that was mentioned in the stories of Africa is here. Could this be the source of the whispers mentioned in the crumpled up note? Could this be the culprit behind the night scratches? I know who would know. Jerry!
Yes?
James Blackwood was into some very weird stuff.
Why don't you inform the authorities?
No way. And miss all the fun? I'm doing this on my own. I wonder if those noises I heard have anything to do with this.
Like in that book, where an old man was guarding the entrance to hell. I bet this James Blackwood person had a doorway like that in his basement. Those dreadful noises must be the sounds of the damned coming for you.
Why, thanks, mate. That's been very helpful. Great to have friends like you.
Then stop talking about all this nonsense. Do you have any idea how crazy it sounds? You're a writer, not some fancy PI.
Thanks, Jerry. I better lie down. All this action hero stuff has left me quite exhausted today. Again, Michael awakes in the middle of the night. No scratches. No whispers. Nothing. It's too quiet. If this is a vision again, we should probably check the gallery. Because last time, that's how we found the mask room. Maybe the mask wants to be found. Maybe it wants to tell us something. It's gone. Where? Where could it be? As Michael wakes again, the scratches feel almost comfortable. They signal that, even if this is a terrifying reality, it is the reality. Once again, we follow the sound. Tonight, we are prepared for the scratches. We have a light source. Time to find the scratching culprit. They are coming from the furnace? Preposterous. Michael, very willingly I might add, goes inside the furnace. At the end of it, there's a hole. Behind the hole, a door. Suddenly, a shadow runs across the opening of the room. Terrified, Michael sprints back to bed. As Mike runs back, the scratching gets louder and louder and louder. Have I just seen a vision? Product of being tired. After all, I'm bound to expect strange occurrences whilst wandering at midnight through a decrepit old house. But a cold sweat on my forehead has brought me to my senses. I know it was real. I may be insane. I should probably race out of the house and never return. But I just want to go back to bed. I need to sleep. Clear my mind a little bit. Perhaps I'm too tired to realize that I'm not alone in this place. End of the second day. My third and final day inside Blackwood Manor began with an odd feeling of expectation. Still shaken about the occurrence of last night, I managed to pull myself together and focus on finding out what really happened inside the place. Another day inside Blackwood Manor. Fortunately, the rain has stopped. Somehow I feel renewed with energy. It's like the past night was just a bad dream. I'm almost doubting it ever happened. But still, I feel strangely optimistic. I have to keep going. Time for Monday, or as I like to call it, time to open up that bigfish.com walkthrough because shit's about to get stupidly confusing. First of all, it's cold out here. Let's get some warmth in this cursed place. There was some wood in the living room fireplace, and there should still be some matches in the inventory. Now that we are warm and cozy, you know what we will do? Can you guess? I'll give you 3 chances. Oh, no need, you'll get it in 1, because of course, it's time to call Jerry. Like always.
Jerry, I'm definitely not alone in this house. Last night I saw something down below. It was moving. I wasn't dreaming, and I'm not making this up.
I'm calling the police.
No, not just yet.
Michael, for Christ's sake, you could have a burglar inside the house.
This is no burglar, Jerry. It's much more interesting than that, and I want to figure this out by myself.
Well, since the weather today is good, we can explore the outside. Finally, no more being grounded. Let's begin with the garage. Inside, we got a bike that has a little generator in it to power the light, and a table with tools. Let's take a screwdriver, pliers, and a crowbar. Oh, did you not notice it? Oh, it's here. This little stick. That doesn't look out of place. Yeah, click that. We need that. Yep, it's very important. Now that we got the pliers, let's go to the crypt. Before Michael are two coffins, the Mr. and Mrs. of the house. Of course, like a normal human being, Michael opens the coffin to check for some snacks. With only one body for snacking, Michael goes down to find more human bodies. One coffin, a small one, perfect for a child, is too dark to read. Time for my favorite puzzle in the game. Hey, remember that mirror I mentioned you must remember a while back? Yeah, well, go back to it. Use your screwdriver and get the mirror. How is one supposed to figure that out? Huh? I have no clue. But it doesn't stop yet. The bullshittery is not over with this puzzle. So, tie that mirror to this torch post, I guess. Now, take a rock that is here, right here. Oh, you can't see this little pebble next to the coffin? Well, you should have. Now, throw the rock into the beautiful window. Why? Just do it. Oh, you missed. Now go find the rock. Like a good dog, go fetch it. Round 2. Throw the rock and get more light in the place. It reflects from the little mirror, and suddenly we can read the child's coffin. Great. The coffin says R. What a cool and fun puzzle. As annoying as that puzzle was, it is weird that there was only one body in the coffins. Where's the other? Let's go to Jerry and see what he thinks.
Think I know the identity of my intruder.
Tell me, who is it?
James Blackwood. After murdering his wife and realizing what he has done, he begs for help to Christopher Milton, who fakes his death.
Milton, the previous owner? Michael, you're losing your mind. Wait a minute. Yeah, I have it right here. James Blackwood passed away on June 1963. Would you please stop this?
Jerry, just listen to me. I know I'm right. There's only Mrs. Blackwood's body in the crypt. His is missing.
Well, Michael, the conspiracy theorist might be onto something. The death of his child and the mask he brought back might have made James crazy. And now he hides in this house, scratching at night. We did get the death date of James Blackwood, and you know what we do with dates? Newspaper time! Mr. James Blackwood has died at the age of 56 due to a heart attack, allegedly because of the pressure and stress caused by the astonishing accusation by Mrs. Ava Mariani, former maid of the family. This puts a sudden end to the case, deferred by the authorities. On the paper is a number. Police Chief Bailey? Well, I'm sure he'll have something to say. Let's give him a call. I hope Jerry will not get jealous.
Who is this?
My name is Michael Arthade. I'm a journalist for a local newspaper in Rothbury. Well, you're the former police chief of this town, aren't you?
Indeed.
And you were once in charge of a famous, or should I say, infamous case here?
Oh, bloody hell. Don't tell me this is about James Blackwood.
Well, yes, I'm writing a story for my newspaper. The most famous police cases of Northumberland.
What is it you want to know?
Well, in the first place, what did Ava Mariani see exactly?
She saw enough, son. James
And was ever determined the cause of death of Catherine Blackwood?
Yes, partly. Mrs. Mariani managed to see as the rope was slit open. Ripped, she would say.
Well, then tell me how Blackwood reacted when you pulled his wife from beneath the ground.
I beg your pardon.
I mean Catherine Blackwood's body when you dug in the garden of the manor.
Like I said, they hampered the investigation. We never managed to set 1 foot inside the manor. What kind of bloody journalist are you, son?
But are you telling you never actually retrieved the body?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Now, if you don't mind.
So, if Catherine Blackwood is still buried in the garden, whose body is in the crypt? Jerry did mention that Dr. Milton is missing. Could it be him? Well, no point in theorizing. We ain't Mad Pat. Mr. Bailey did mention that the maid saw something, and we should be getting the translated letter from Barbara too right about now.
Dear Mother, I spent the whole morning running a few errands for the Blackwood family, and on the way back, many thoughts crossed my mind. I take back what I said. I want to return home. Things haven't got any better here. Everyone's behaving mysteriously and they try to avoid me. I do understand that they must still be disturbed about the death of their son, but it has been almost 2 years since that already. I feel like an alien. I don't belong here anymore, and I find it hard to sleep at night. There's too much activity in this house, too much moving around, and that is unnerving me. I feel something terrible is going on here, and I want to go as far away as possible. I will miss Mrs. Blackwood dearly. She has always been kind to me, but I'm afraid my health is at stake. And I've been seeing some strange things too. I can't explain it, but I think someone did something very wrong. That Dr. Milton would often come and talk with the sir for many hours, and nobody would allow me upstairs. Although I've been secretly taking pictures there. I hope this doesn't upset you. But don't worry. They are well hidden under a loose board beneath my bedside table. Please, Mother, forgive me. I know I should have listened to you. It's not like I'm stubborn. I just wanted to wait and see if things would get any better for myself. They haven't, and that's why I'm asking you for a place to stay until I sort out my situation. Call me as soon as you can. I usually have to stay in town until 5 o'clock, but lately I've been coming back about an hour earlier. I just want to leave this place. I confess that I'm scared. I'll be waiting and please hurry. With love, Ava.
Let's get that picture. The picture hidden in the secret stash shows Mrs. Blackwood being buried. Now, to only figure out where this is. We can see the tip of the great tower we rappel down like an action hero, so that should give us a good starting point once we get a shovel or something else to dig with. Well then, next, let's go to the greenhouse. Let's use the rest of our oil on the creaky door and get inside. Things are looking a bit dreadful, I guess. It is quite green though. It's a sickly Shrek swamp green, but green nonetheless. We can see something glowing underneath the grating like a collectible. Upstairs we find a shovel that's stuck in the dirt. And Michael, our favorite writer with a main character complex, is too weak to pull it out. On the table, in the same place, we can see a little plant whose berries we shall take for later. You never know when you might need a snack. And we also get a note talking about how everything is dying. Nice. The shovel problem. We stick a hose inside the very, very hard ground. Then we turn on the water and get that ground wet and moist. While we are at it, we pour the rest of the water down the grating for the shiny. Michael is a crow and he loves shiny things. We acquire the shovel that we can use to find hidden treasure, also known as a dead woman's body. Now, where's the shiny thing? So, this is again like the crypt puzzle. A fun little surprise that can take you a long time to figure out. You see the road going from the greenhouse to the main house? Well, in the middle of it, if you decide to, for some god-forsaken reason, to turn around, I have no clue why we do that though, you can find a little hidden tree with a pond inside. Because of course, the drainage of the greenhouse leads to a god-forsaken tree puddle. Just fish out the key and move on. So, we go back to the study and use the key on the drawer to find a letter to Catherine that reads, March 21st, 1963. Dear Catherine, First of all, I beg you to take the utmost care in order to keep this letter away from James. I don't like to think of the mental breakdown he would suffer if he reads this. You know James much better than I do, so you must share my conviction that he'd never harm anything, but, even so, I'd ask you to be careful whenever he's around, at least until we sort out this situation. He has been especially unstable lately, speaking about his determination to suppress this so-called curse. I truly fear for him and for his sanity. I still wouldn't say he qualifies as dangerous, but just in case, be cautious. I've been playing the role of an ally who believes in James, and so far, I think I've done a good job in convincing him. But I'm afraid it won't last for too much longer. I can't do all the things he's now asking me to. He has been delving into some very obscure arts, and what began as a hobby has now become a dangerous obsession. He wants me to perform an African ritual on that awful mask he brought. He's convinced he has released an ancient spirit which will harm everything he loves and cares for. It's also utterly insane, but I'm ashamed to translate this into words. My biggest fear is that I will end losing my own mind along with his. I have to put an end to all this. And about that other issue, you should know I've gotten over it. Catherine, what we all did 2 years ago, the decision we made, and knew would affect the course of our lives, has been haunting my sleep ever since then. I know you must be the one more affected by this, but you wouldn't understand all that has been going through my head. The confusion, the contradiction. Now, more than ever, I am not sure whether it was the right decision or not. There's no turning back and we must face the consequences. All I wanted to say about this is that I am deeply sorry if I behaved erratically these past days and unnerved you. You have my word I won't ever reveal anything. Whatever you do with this letter, make sure James doesn't feel anything suspicious. I'd rather have you destroy this though. Extreme situations require extreme measures. Christopher. It's clear now that Dr. Milton isn't an accomplice of James. He views him as a crazy man too. And he mentions a ritual James wants to do. More on that later. More importantly, we learned that this was something they did 2 years ago. All 3 of them. If you look at the date, it's been 2 years since the birth of R. Blackwood. So surely it has something to do with the child. In the same drawer we find a locked box that needs a code. Hey, remember those letter cubes in R's room that I said were important? Well, here it is. Not to sound like a broken record about day 3, but I have no clue how you would put this together. Ever! Again, rappel down to the secret room. If you look at the cubes, you can see O, bin, and ATP here in this big pile. You can also see more letters. What we are trying to do now is figure out the child's name, if that wasn't clear. If you have even half a brain, and you got to this point, you can quickly put together that the R we got from the crypt with letters Obin on the ground, and we get Robin. If you are me though, of course you say Raven. Raven's something we can do. I see Raven. That's a name, right? And you need chat to tell you that it's clearly Robin. Wait, yeah, I just fucking read it. Obin. Fucking Robin. Of course it's okay. That makes so much more sense. I did stay in the Bud family somehow though. After opening the box, we see an interesting mechanism inside. 2 hole buttons on the side and a switch thingy in the middle. So what we have to do is turn the switch to one of the sides, press the button on that side, then do the same thing to the other side. Simple, but at the same time, the fact that you have to do 2 things to unlock it is a bit confusing. Inside the hidden part of the box, we find the key to the chapel. So while we walk to the chapel, let me say, I know I've been saying, hey, puzzles on day 3 are kind of too complex compared to days 1 and 2. And this is kind of the cherry on top for me. It's not as stupid as getting a mirror from a room to make a room brighter, as everything you need for the puzzle is in the chapel, as long as you found the crowbar already. But even on my continued playthroughs to get footage, I keep struggling with this puzzle. So, as we enter, we get greeted by Jesus. Sup, bro? First things first, I'm the realist, and we go upstairs to steal the Bible. Here, of course, we find the secret hidden nail. That little scoundrel Jesus thought he was slick. Was planning on escaping the cross. Nah, bro, I'm about to roleplay as a Roman and do some good old crucifixion. After we do all that, we take a step back and lift a whole giant stone block from the floor. Michael, let me remind you, someone who couldn't pull out a shovel from the ground can do this. Now take the crowbar, and you gotta hit the little inri sign so it becomes straight. Dodge! It's a Jesus attack! Now we can go down to the Jesus hole. Here we find another mask and James's note. Most of the information I have already explained before, but this note does have this to say. My God, the evil spirit was cast into a mask, trapped inside the confines of his blessed wood for eternity. A mask whose description bears uncanny resemblance to... Who am I fooling? It is that mask. The Dalmar would keep the spirit at bay via regular rituals, involving the bloody sacrifices and the aforementioned amulet. I always wondered what made the Dalmar savagely slaughter neighboring tribes without any apparent reason. Was it a violent raw instinct? Did they feel threatened in any way? Was it by a perverse and ungodly sense of enjoyment? No, it was fear. Fear that someone else would take the mask and release the god. The rituals haven't been performed at the mask for years now. What have I done? What have I done? Is that why James killed Catherine? To perform the ritual for the mask? Was it all to make sure his god stays sealed? A disturbing African mask is cursed. It isn't exactly important whether this curse is real or not, even though I'm actually willing to believe that due to my experiences in this house, but the fact that Blackwood believed it was real. We also learn how to make this magical amulet. One needs an element representing the victim, another representing the victimizer. These elements need to be mixed with a rare medical plant native to the region. Oh my god, the snack we grabbed in the greenhouse! And finally, a branch of a tree which we just picked up. So that means we are like 50% done with the amulet. Oh yeah, now how to get the other parts though? Well, I know just the person to call that will help me with this. Good old Jerry.
Yes, I was about to call you.
Why?
I've been thinking about what you told me, and you could be onto something there, but I'm worried about your safety now. This could be dangerous. Let's suppose you're right, and James Blackwood is indeed hiding somewhere inside the house. He's a madman, a murderer, and your life could be in danger. Doesn't the possibility of spending another night in that house with a creepy old man hiding in the basement scare you?
I know what you're trying to do. Goodbye, Jerry.
Michael? Michael! It's dangerous, do you hear me? Dangerous! You have to leave that place!
I'll keep you informed.
Oh, Jerry's so nice. He cares so much about our safety. What a good friend. As we go outside, we catch a glimpse of someone getting away from the front gates. In the mailbox, we find an eviction notice. Mr. Michael Arford, due to irregularities during the acquisition process carried over by Mr. Jerry P. Carter, you are to immediately leave the property known as Blackwood Manor. If you fail to comply, legal proceedings will be enforced against you. You have 2 days to effectively abandon the property after the ensuing of this notice. We take no responsibility for the courier service. A police officer is due to arrive at the Blackwood Manor on Tuesday, October 15th. Should you be present, you will be immediately taken into custody without further notification. The National Trust. Jerry! Jerry! Well, that adds another objective to the list, and a time limit. First of all, write the ending. Doesn't feel like it matters anymore. Second, find out the mystery of this whole weird mask murder fiasco. And now, leave! Let's quickly focus on the leave part. Take out our battery from the car, and let's go back to the bike. So remember how the bike could make the flashlight light up when it spun its wheels? Well, that's how we will recharge a battery. One single spin is enough. But just in case, I did make 3. Pause. This is stupid, right? How much electricity is this bike spin going to make? Like, I should be spinning this wheel for hours, but 1 spin is all I need? This makes me angry with how stupid it is. Anyway, pause. If you try to leave right away, Michael says this. As I prepared myself to leave the manor, I suddenly felt responsible for disturbing the forces that had up to now lain dormant inside the house. I had to do something. And with this new determination, we continue onwards to solve the mystery. But it's not only determination and sense of justice that propels Michael to go forward. I am suffering the same ailment that disturbed Blackwood and in turn Milton. First, the whispers, then the feeling of a presence stalking me in the house. The only possible explanation is that the curse is real and I have revived it with my arrival. I must do something about this. Number one thing in our agenda, let's find the body. We got a shovel, we got a photo, we can do this. So this is a fun little time waster puzzle. You have to be almost pixel perfect in hitting the top of the tower shadow to dig the body. And if you miss, get ready for a long animation of you digging nothing, then putting the dirt back in. Over and over and over again. But once you do hit the right spot, a skeleton awaits. I was equally terrified and saddened upon uncovering the dead body of Catherine Blackwood. All those years, she was left to rot in this improvised tomb. With some pliers, we take a tooth. We aren't role-playing a dance for no reason. This tooth is one of the amulet ingredients. The other one can be found in the gallery, the necklace. With the pliers again, we take the tooth, and now we have everything. Time to do some grinding, and I don't mean World of Warcraft. Using the coffee grinder in the kitchen, we make some nice teeth dust. Then, like Walter White would say, it's time to cook. On the third floor, you can find a portable cooker. On it, we put the two dusts and the plant. With some good old Zelda type of cooking, we make a ball, aka the amulet. I didn't mention it, but this is also quite a bizarre fucking puzzle to solve on your own. As the amulet is cooked, laughter can be heard all over the house. The god inside the mask knows what we're about to do. We run to the mask and start waving our amulet. It works. We did it. The house feels lighter. The whispers, laughter, everything has gone quiet. We got rid of that curse James Blackwood brought from Africa. We are the hero of this story. Again, those bone-chilling noises. They're still here. Why? Was everything I did in vain? As we walk towards the fireplace, we see that the fire is out. And under the ash and burnt wood, there's a grate. We open it and go in. As I went down the fireplace, I couldn't shake the feeling of entering a forbidden zone. A place that had been and was supposed to remain forgotten in time. We find a hole through which we looked during the second night. The door where the shadow flashed is here. We unlock the door. I remember being soaking wet and shaking in fear. Yet I just had to go on, as if driven by an unseen force. The room is dark, damp. There's a bloody table. There were remnants of food on the table. Someone or something had been feeding down here. Blood drips from an outside grating with traces of raw meat under it. A disgusting teddy bear lies against the wall, its neck ripped with bites. Suddenly, the words of William Bailey concerning the body of Catherine Blackwood echoed in my head.
Ripped, she would say.
A noise echoes. I actually get scared and run away, then take a breath and go back in. A giant hole is in the wall. The smell coming from inside the hole was unbearable.
Unsure of what I had just seen, I raced my car and left Blackwood Manor as quickly as possible. I'm not ashamed of what I did. That disfigured face is still stalking my nightmares, and I've never put foot inside a Victorian house ever since. But there's certainly one thing that I'm grateful for. It was thanks to my encounter below that house that I was able to finish my book and become a prolific writer.
And with that, we have finished Scratches. As much as the third day stings with all those puzzles that God knows how you're supposed to figure out, every time I see the ending, I don't care. It's just so good. I love it. The main reason why I was compelled to make this video was the ending. It does the best thing ever a horror media can do. It leaves you wondering, what was that creature? Was it the god that was trapped in the mask? Was it Robin, actually? If it was him, what happened? Did the presence of the mask do this? Or was it just a natural occurrence? An unlucky birth? And James, being obsessed with the mask, just assumed it was the curse? Why was there meat in the room? Who is feeding the beast? What happened to Dr. Milton? Well, we did figure out one thing. We do know what the scratches were. As an ominous scene of the doors we left open flashed before our eyes, we are put back in the menu. Scratches is the story of James Blackwood told through the eyes of Michael. Let me summarize the story, without all the filler, that is known as our playable character. James Blackwood was a construction engineer working in South Africa. During his stay, he fell in love with the culture and the people. One day, James had an encounter with a peculiar tribe known as Dalmar that participated in human sacrifice, cannibalism, and loved violence. They also, from the perspective of James, worshipped a mask that caught James' eye. And so, like a true British man, being entranced by this piece of art, he stole it. After coming back, he bought a manor where he lived together with his wife, Catherine Blackwood. He turned one of the rooms into a gallery of all the souvenirs he got from Africa, including the Dalmar mask. But something about this mask was wrong. It whispered to James. It gave him weird dreams. Around this time, Catherine and James were preparing for the birth of their firstborn. To help in the delivery, they brought their close family friend and distinguished doctor, Christopher Milton. But this is when tragedy struck. Their baby boy, named Robin, was born deformed. The Blackwoods were an esteemed, distinguished family. They couldn't let people know about such shame, that such a horrible creature as this baby was a Blackwood. So, with the help of Milton, they staged his death and told the world he died as soon as he was born. Now, rather than disgust, they got sympathy from others. If anyone comes to visit, in the house they had a secret room under the fireplace where they could hide little Robin. And so their life continued. Except James was not doing well. It was the curse of the mask, he said. He blamed himself for this fate. He brought back this horrible mask and the evil god that was trapped inside. And so, James lost himself in researching ways of getting rid of this curse. He went mad with his obsession. Finally, 2 years after Robin's birth, James found a way to fix everything. A way to get rid of the curse. But before anything could be done, another tragedy happened. Robin, the deformed, cursed boy, ripped the throat of his mother, killing her. James tried to hide the evidence by burying his wife's body, but he was seen. Now the curse had not only taken his son, his wife, but also his reputation. He was looked at as a murderer, a monster, and he knew they were all right. He was a horrible man. Because of him, his family fell apart, whether it was a curse or not. He died. He couldn't take it anymore. And now, the house and Robin were in the care of Milton. First, the cynical doctor looked at James as a crazy man who was rambling all the time. But after spending years in the house, the mask started talking with him too. whispering straight into his mind. He hid the mask behind the secret door, but it didn't go quiet. Milton started going crazy, and before it was too late, he escaped the house. Years later, Michael Arthite bought the manor, and the game started. Well, that was great. I hope you enjoyed it. And then don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment which puzzle on day 3 you think was the worst. And oh, you noticed. There's still a bit of the video left, huh? Okay, so ideally, I'd stop here, as this is such a perfect ending to a game. Nothing more needs to be said. Well, Nucleosis fought differently. With the director's cut of the game, came an alternative ending and a DLC. Both suck. Like, a lot. Let's just get this over with. The main thing about getting the new ending is interacting with the typewriter every so often. Because, you know, Michael is a writer, and you need to make that boy write. So, you gotta click it often to get Michael to say something. It's quite finicky. All the things Michael says will be about him not being able to write. It starts off with him being too invested in the mystery, and ends with him losing confidence in his writing. It ends with an entry that reads, "I'm not Michael Arthite. He used to be a great writer, but me, I can't write. I am a nobody." So the ending, this time, when you go down to the creature's lair, there is no hole, and no beast. But there is a skeleton and a note. They didn't stop. I thought they did, but they kept buzzing in my head. The whispers. They are in me right now, even during my agony. Locking myself here in this godforsaken place was pointless, but I had no choice anyway. Not after I did. They would have found me. First my son, then Catherine, and Milton. Oh my God, I left Milton rotting inside the crypt. He was half alive and he gasped my name. His last word, and I closed it. I shut the coffin and never looked back. I'm a savage. I'm a murderer. And my beloved Catherine, beaten to death and now all tangled in roots, ripping her body. What have I done? Oh, what have I done? It's all their fault. They made me do it. The whispers. And even here, deep down this hole, they just won't leave. Michael leaves the manor, this time quietly. And now you see what I mean. Thanks for explaining some things and removing all the interesting mystery from the game. And still, what are the scratches in the ending then, huh? Michael's going crazy, I guess. It just feels so tacked on, like they needed to add something to the game for it to be director's cut. There's nothing I like about it. And speaking of things I don't like, let's talk about the DLC. So, remember all those questions I had at the end of the game? Let's answer every single one of them with this DLC. So, here's a saying, less is more. I wish the writers knew that when writing the DLC. First of all, it takes like 15 minutes to finish. It's not worth going step by step like the main game, so let me just point out every answer we get, as that is the important and the horrible part of this add-on. That beast? Yeah, that's Robin, 100%. Why is he deformed? Well, Catherine took thalidomide,
A bottle of thalidomide.
which can help with morning pains, but can cause deformations in a baby. And that's not even talking about this masterpiece of a cutscene.
No.
But look at that! Wow! There was this beauty with barely showing Robin in the dark room. Since you couldn't see stuff, your imagination did a lot of the work, and he looked quite terrifying. Even with 2005 graphics. Here, in the light, seeing him for so long, he looks horrible. I hate it so much. And I don't even want to talk about it anymore, as there's nothing of substance left. I don't want to sour your perception of this game anymore. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making this and playing the game. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching this. Follow me Twitch to catch me playing games live. Subscribe to my second channel, Evening Light, for stream highlights, I guess. And yeah, see you next time. Bye-bye.